welcome back to the Legally Blind Journals. This is journal number 17. I had an interesting trip to Chicago. Punchline, 5 or 6 year old child lands on the floor face down in the Atlanta airport. We'll get to that in just a minute. But that said, did a business trip to Chicago, which haven't been to that city in a very, very long time. It was interesting. The flight out of my local airport was delayed, which caused a ripple effect. So I ended up doing about a 6 hour delay in Atlanta airport. So the bright side of all that was I got to experience the airport lounges for the first time in my life, and that was actually pretty nice. Made the delays much more bearable. It really wasn't bad at all, truthfully. So hats off to Delta, and there was an off-brand one at the first airport, and really and truly made a very, very long travel day not seem such. Jumping right into it, basically, we started out and delayed in the original airport and in the upper left there, and a little bit, and then got to Atlanta. And well, in Atlanta, there was a little bit of a mix-up. So in Atlanta, the service, the Porter service, took me to my original gate, or let me rephrase, my original backup gate, which I had told them that that wasn't going to work before I left the original airport. But at any rate, just a bit of a mix-up. So I ended up being dropped off in Concourse B, and about halfway down that one, roughly. And then, the porters left and whatnot, which I got a 6 hour delay. I'm not worried at this point, and I've got my O&M school behind me, so I'm really not worried. I know I've got the skill set to do what I need to do with that. So I take a look, at the Delta app, and where I was supposed to be was Concourse C as in Charlie. And if you're not familiar with the Atlanta airport, that is means you're going to be doing escalators. You could find elevators, but you're going to do escalators. You're going to do trains, and it's a zoo of people, just a sea of them. But that's okay. So I'm working the cane, doing exactly what I should do, and sweeping appropriately in the amount of traffic that we had. And I don't have very much in the peripheral. I really can't see my hands, where they are now and things like that. So for those of you that haven't heard this. So that said, coming from right to left, I'm sweeping my cane, and you do shoulder to shoulder. So, I'm in traffic. It's not like I'm sweeping, like I'm cutting weed. I'm shoulder to shoulder. And this is a 5 foot long, red and white tip cane. And it even has a big old, if you can see it in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, it has a big old red ball on the end. I mean, this thing is screaming, here I am. So that said, end up, a guy crosses. I get him in my front field of vision. So he crosses. He's not very far in front of my cane, I don't believe. It's kind of hard for me to tell the depth perception, but I don't think he was that far in front of it. But he's got his nose down in the phone, like 99% of the people on the planet, oblivious to the world. And okay, fine. So I go to sweep from my left shoulder back over to my right shoulder. And as I do that, a child comes into vision right in front of me, and my cane just takes out at the shins. And this child's probably 5 or 6 years old. The child absolutely has his nose in a phone, and down he goes on the Atlanta airport floor. I don't enjoy that. Like, trust me, I laugh, but not because of that. I hate that, the kid got tripped. why I laugh is this. So the kid face plants to the floor, right? The phone comes out of his hand, from what I can tell. And I hear the dad, who, keep in mind, just did the same thing. Like, he didn't hit the cane, but oblivious to the world, crossed right in front of me. I hear the dad, I say, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And I hear the dad say, oh, no, that's not your fault. And he says the kid's name. I don't know what it was. So and so, "I told you to get your nose out of that phone. And I told you got to be looking where you're going." Now, keep in mind, I know for a fact the dad just did the same bloody thing with his phone. His face is in the same, in a phone. And I was going, yeah, well, if everybody didn't have their nose in the phone, staring at it, probably wouldn't have happened. So, but I just thought it was interesting that, dad was fussing at the kid for having his nose in the phone, but straight up the kid was emulating dad, because that's what dad was doing. So unfortunately, yeah, took him out good. On the other side of that, though, I got a 5-foot red and white screaming cane in front of me. I don't know how much more I can do to say, "I can't see you. Like, you got to help me out here," right? So, any rate, that was that. Things are going to happen. Shake it off. Keep moving. Keep smiling. But I will say that, if you're visually impaired and you don't have access to these lounges and you travel, you need to look into how to get that done, because it's really, really, really helpful. So I get all settled to the airport, finally get to the destination. It's Chicago, and it was a long day. I mean, I was literally on the road over 12 hours because of all the delays and things that happened, but managed to do it just fine. Managed to do the airport train just fine. I'm not saying that it's as easy as when I was sighted, but it's definitely doable coming out of O&M school. It absolutely is. Got to the hotel resort center where this conference was happening, and did what I normally do. I wasn't there as early as I normally like to be. I like to get in about a day early so I can really map everything, but because I have to memorize a lot of stuff that I didn't have to memorize when I was fully sighted. But it is what it is. So I spent a couple hours that evening mapping out the property, and what that involves is you literally go around. Of course, you're using your cane. I use my cane a lot now, most of the time actually. And I will happily say, since I've used my cane now the majority of my time, I haven't fallen since. I've had a couple of little wobblies, but I haven't had any falls. I'm even using it here at my own property because the road changes shape after rains and things like that. So I just use it here too, and it's really been helpful. So at the hotel, I literally am riding escalators up and down, and I am certain I got a few looks from hotel staff going, "Is this guy like got a thing for escalators? I mean, what the heck?" But I was going from the lobby to where the convention was going to be, and then back to the lobby elevators, and then back to where the next room would be. And I was making all the transitions that I was going to need to make the next day and over the next several days, which required riding up and down the escalators and moving around the area so that I could memorize it. So I got into bed a little late that night, but it worked out well. Everything worked as expected with that part. Then came to the meeting vendors for dinners and things like that. First time that I've ventured out since becoming visually impaired and in a foreign city like that. And I mean ventured out as in not just staying on the local sidewalk. I'm talking about 10 city blocks, roughly. So in the upper right-hand corner on the screen, that's basically that's Chicago, man. It's a bunch of very, very little green and a whole lot of concrete. That might be somebody's cup of tea. I like the green, man, but that's okay. So I managed to traverse about 10 city blocks there, and the majority of the crossings I was surrounded by people. I mean, it's a big city, so really wasn't an issue. There was, one of these things where if the herd is crossing and you're in the middle of the herd, you're probably okay. And so that's essentially what I was doing herd crossings. And that worked out fine. I will say that somebody asked me, there was a lot of panhandling and a lot of homeless, which is a horrible epidemic in our nation. So I don't make light of that at all. With that having been said, somebody asked me if my using a cane had any effect in the way those interactions go, and I hadn't really thought about it. And so I was thinking about it, and you know what? The reality is, yeah, most people that were panhandling didn't ask me for anything. And then shortly after somebody asked me that question, somebody came up to me. They were panhandling. Oddly enough, they had their face in a phone. But at any rate, they started to ask the question, and then they looked up from their phone, and it was kind of funny. The guy looks, and you could just tell it's that pregnant pause and that that look up, look down kind of a situation, and he goes, "Oh man, never mind. You look like you need it more than I do," and he walked off. So, yeah, get treated a little differently with a cane, I guess, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. But at the end of the day, as long as you keep humor and smiling about all of it, it doesn't really matter. But it was great interaction. The city went well. It was the hallways at the hotel were an obstacle course. I got that picture in the bottom left. They literally shifted left, right, all the way down the hall. So the cane did a great job of helping me not bounce into things and trays on the floor and stuff like that. I can't say enough good things about it. And then there in the dead center is our oldest pup. That's Trouble. He is, we call him the old man because he's past his average lifespan. And so he's sitting there on a deflated blow-up mattress because we ended up having to evac out of here because we didn't have any power at all, no cell phones, no utilities whatsoever with the hurricane in my entire county. And so we relocated south to a family member's apartment and got set up so we could work and whatnot. But that was an experience, because obviously my spouse is doing all the driving. I can do some packing, obviously, and things like that. I mean, on this side, once we got there, the place we were staying was a second floor walk up, bunch of concrete stairs. They all look the same. So that slows you down a little bit trying to use the cane to go up the stairs while you're carrying luggage. So, you're carrying about half the luggage that you used to, but it goes back to what we've said before in these things. Doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means you do it different. So I took double the trips to carry up the luggage. Family members helped more than what probably would have before, but that's okay, So that said, there's been a little delay in the technology deliveries and whatnot, so my demoing of the Orcam and all those things probably won't be in the next video due to the hurricane, but hopefully, in a video shortly thereafter, we can start going through all that stuff and really talking through that and what game changer I think it's going to be. But I'm super excited because, man, the O&M school was a game changer. So visually right now, I'm staying pretty constant. Knock on wood, I'm 14 to 15 inches. I've noticed if I don't take enough breaks, if I overstrain, that wanes. So I've just got to be mindful of that I don't try and be Superman. But overall, pretty happy with that situation. So again, like I said, hopefully next time we'll have some opportunity to talk through some of the technologies that are coming, and really work through how that's going to affect things and whatnot. So until then, keeping it positive, keeping it real, just smiling, and realizing God and Jesus don't give you something you can't handle, and there's always a good reason for it. And many times it's years later before you know what it was. So we're going to keep rolling and keep smiling. All right, y'all. Be good out there. Peace out, Girl Scout.